Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup, Season 2, Episode 19, Trials and Tribulations. Alright you guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and check out my merch down below. Let's jump right into this video. We start off this episode where we left off last time, with Michael having a showdown outside in the snow with Meghan. Meghan is sitting in her car, snow is going all in the car, girl, and so Michael says, "You sitting over here preaching about how I should come clean and how I should do all these different things and how I should just come to you and tell you stuff, but you over here with my nigga while I'm in jail." And then Meghan is like, "You just hit a whole second life. What are you talking about?" And then Michael's like, "I ain't never fucked your sister, your cousin, nobody you knew." So then Michael gets on the phone and he talks to his homeboy Rock, okay? So Michael's like, "Hello?" And the homeboy's like, "Yeah." Michael proceeds to ask Rock what went down between him and Meghan. And Rock said that nothing went down. And then so Michael's like telling Meghan, here's your man talking to him on the phone. And Meghan's like, "I'm not talking to him. What you mean that's my man?" And then Michael says something about, "You just said that y'all kissed and now he's on the phone lying." And Meghan's like, "Yeah, and what? I'm telling you the truth." Then Michael's like, "What you think gonna happen from there?" And then Meghan is like, "Well, Mike, what do you mean? Where do we go from here?" Then Michael's like, "You can go on about your business." And she finally just drives off because Mike turns around. I can't even say what I want to do on camera, but I'm not about to jeopardize my daughters for some woman being on some snake shit. Meanwhile, Day-Day's standing in the door like, at this point, Love After Lockup, whoever's editing this video needs to make Day-Day a meme because they use the same shot of her standing in the door twice. So the next scene we have with Michael is Michael on the phone with Sara. Well, he's attempting to call Sara and Sara has not been answering his phone calls. So he calls her the day that she's supposed to be induced. And then we cut to her and she's talking about calling the hospital to see if everything's okay. And then we have her confessionals where she talks about this is exactly like her first birth with Aviana. You know, she was by herself. She had to be induced and she just really wants to know what it would be like to have a child with the father of her child actually in the room there to support her. And my heart breaks for her, girl. My heart actually breaks for her. Emmy's her homegirl. Emmy's gonna be there in the room with her and she says after that she doesn't know who else is gonna be in the room with her. So Michael's talking about the reason why he wasn't there at Aviana's birth. He wasn't there to see his kid come out the womb was because he was on parole in Atlanta at the time. And I'm just like, damn, Michael has been all over the country on parole. Flint, Rochester, I mean, so Mike finally contacts Sara on FaceTime after he sends her a text message saying, "Why the F haven't you called me back?" She answers his FaceTime. He then says, "What's happening today?" And she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go in and get induced." And he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna tell my PO today that I need to be there for the birth." And she's like, "Well, why didn't you tell your PO that you needed to be there last week? Don't you go every week?" He's like, "Yeah, I go every week." And she's like, "So why didn't you say something before so you could have had the permission already?" And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna tell him now because it's happening this week." And she's like, "So you're just gonna magically appear here today?" Meanwhile, he's in Flint, Michigan, and she is in Rochester, New York. It somehow makes it seem like he's about to drive there, and I don't exactly know how far away it is. So is he just like gonna get a day of approval? That doesn't look good on him. It looks like he's making shit up. Like if he had let the parole officer know in advance, "My wife is pregnant, so I'm gonna have to go to that birth. Do you give me permission? I don't know when it is, but I'll let you know." Like, I just don't understand people who don't do things in advance. Like, is it indicative of how you believe your life should be led that you just really don't think past the week? Like, you only think until the end of the week. And then after that, it's all black. It's all a blur. You have no idea what could possibly happen. And you don't plan and you don't make decisions that lead towards your future. And we can see that because Mike has a conversation with his mother after he gets off of the phone with Sara, because he's like, "Man, Sara needs me." And I'm like, when did Sara say that she needed you? She got Emmy there. She doesn't need you. She said that she would like for you to be there, but it also isn't her fault that you're not there because she did what she needed to do as a prison wife to set everything up to make sure that you would be there, but you made choices that jeopardized that. And now you're about to make another choice to jeopardize that. So this man goes outside and starts scraping the ice off of the car so that he can cut his tether off and then just go and be there. I guess he's gonna drive to Rochester in the snow to go be there for the birth of his second child. And it's just like, Michael, every single decision that you have made has led up to you not being there for your children's birth. So now you're gonna make another dumb decision to get to the second birth that is going to take you away from them for every day after they're born. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And his mother, she comes out and she's like, what are you doing? And then she drops all of this knowledge. I'm thinking that, you done changed, you done have a stronger set of mind, but obviously you talking like this, you going backwards. You not going forward. You got your little sister in here that's been waiting for you, and you gonna sacrifice all this stuff and put us back through all this stuff again? How dare you? I mean, Caroline is making a lot of sense. And it's just like Michael's smoking and he's just thinking irrationally and like, I'm gonna go, I don't care, F this man, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you made choices since the age of 16 that led you into a position to where you don't have control over your own life. And the only way to get out from underneath that control is to just finally buckle down and listen to these people and wait for you to have the opportunity to be the free man to be able to do what you need to do for your family. And making this choice doesn't make any sense, as Caroline says. Caroline also says, look, if he does this and he goes back to prison, that's it. I'm not doing anything for him ever again. He's out. He's on his own. And I feel like, girl, for your sanity, you need to. Good job, Mom. Meanwhile, Meghan and Michael haven't spoken in like 2 weeks. She's back in Texas, sunny Texas with no snow. And she's having a conversation with her friend B, who is rocking ruffs and stuffs with his Afro puffs, and I'm 100% there with him. And he's trying to tell Meghan, this shit is over. Go ahead and move on. You guys are on a break. What does that even mean? Is he still married? And she's like, yeah, he's still married, but my feelings haven't gone away. And I'm like, bitch, you know what? We all go through it. We all go through it where our feelings haven't gone away, but what we do is we move on. He's gonna hold her kiss with Rock against her for the rest of her life. And they're always gonna have this impasse because she's gonna be like, you hid a whole family. And he's gonna be like, well, I didn't hit a whole family. That was your cousin. I didn't mess with your sister. I wasn't hiding that. And I'm just like, Rock is not really a homeboy anyway. He's over there licking his lips at Sara. They got the whole thing on film. Not the kiss, but the thereafter. Rock is not your homeboy. He don't feel nothing for you, Mike, okay? Not your homeboy. Keep it moving. Low-key, he's not that bad looking, but he a little rough. But you know what I'm saying. Meghan like him a little rough, as we know. When Meghan is telling B what happened, she's like, oh, we got into a huge screaming match. I'm like, where? When? They didn't catch it on camera, girl, because I would have loved to see that screaming match. In fact, when Michael and her had that conversation, I felt like that was the most clear his sentences have ever been. In fact, this entire episode, Michael has expressed himself in a way that I have never heard him express himself. Why? Because he's not ducking and diving and lying to women. I think Meghan has a little bit of a save-a-hoe complex, and that's why she wants to be with Mike so bad, is because she wants to help him and be down and save him. And girl, we all want to be that nurturing person. But if that person is not nurturing back to you, which Mike 100% is not, especially the fact that he's so upset about Rock and it was just a kiss. And also she was saying that Rock kissed me because I was crying and he wanted to make me feel better. Now Rock is the dirty birdie, okay? Meghan is not the dirty birdie. She came forward and told you what happened. Rock is gonna lie on camera about it? Anyways, Michael's dumb. This nigga, he's so dumb. I don't think that Sara should be with Mike, and I don't think that Meghan should be with Mike. I think they just need to throw the whole thing away, both of them. They just need to throw the whole person away. I don't think Mike is completely done with her because I feel like he could still get shit out of her because she's obviously being like running up behind him, and she low-key hurt. She's hurt that he doesn't want to talk to her. And I'm like, girl, don't let this man get into your brain. He did more to you than you did to him, period, point blank. You cut a little deeper than he did, but the scar he gave you is a lot longer. Okay, so let's move on to our next couple. So the next couple that we're gonna talk about is Tracy and Clint. So we've left Alice's house and Tracy is very buoyant and happy. She says that she understands that Clint and Alice have a very close relationship and she doesn't want to intrude on it or break it apart, but she wants to be a part of it. And I thought that was a really, really nice thing for her to say. You know, I really think that Tracy's trying to do the right things. Now, will she continue on the path without doing therapy and like talking about why she does drugs? I don't think so, because I feel like her drug of choice may leave from being crack and move on to other things like maybe shopping or drinking. You got to get to the root of the problem, girl. And Clint is not going to help you solve it. So they're driving and they're very excited and they're like kind of playful and juvenile in the car. And at this point, I see them together and I'm just like, these two belong together. You know, let them be. And so Tracy says, drop me off at City Hall while I turn in my paperwork and I'll meet you at the airport tonight. So basically what's going to happen is Clint's going to drop her off at City Hall. Then he is gonna go to his dad, pick up his check, and they're gonna meet later on at the airport. And I'm like, okay. Clint goes to see his dad, and he gets his check, and he sits down, and he has a produced conversation with his dad. And he's like, Dad, I know you and Mom have been together for a long time, and you guys have had a lot of ups and downs. And I'm like, those ups and downs probably had everything to do with Clint and his behavior. So they've had their ups and downs, and Clint wants advice. And he says, look, when Tracy went to jail the first time, I started talking to this girl on social media. We haven't actually met in person, but we have been kind of carrying on online and through texts. And his dad says, you need to cut that off. You need to ignore the texts. And Clint's like, yeah, ignore the texts, right? That's what I should do. And he's like, yeah, that's what you should do. Clint is like, okay, Dad, thanks for the advice. And then he goes to the airport, but on his way, he goes and he stops and gets a bottle of bubbly, which it seems he's never opened in his entire life. And he gets some flutes. And then he's at the airport. It's already dark, so I'm not sure what the timeline was. Tracy gets there. She's taking a cab, which I assumed she was gonna take an Uber, girl, but when she paid cash, I was like, oh, what they got going on in New Mexico? She gets out of the car, she runs up to Clint, she gives him a hug, they open the bubbly scares the shit out of Clint. He's looking scared, like that was loud and like, what did I just do? And they drink their alcohol, and they only have one bag. Are both of their clothes in that one bag? How long are they staying in Vegas? One night? I was just confused. But okay. And so Clint acknowledges that, you know, he shouldn't go to Vegas with Tracy, but he wants to give her whatever she wants. And so they're on the way to Vegas. It is actually a happy scene between the two, and I know it's going to end in disaster, but I'm happy for them and I want the best for them at this point. I'm not going to lie. I thought when Clint was talking about how he was talking to this girl on social media, I thought that was an absolute lie brought up by producers to add some kind of like, you know, drama to their storyline. But it turns out, I saw a preview of next week's episode, that Tracy found some texts of him sexting and she got very upset. So I think it's true. Okay, so the next couple that we're going to talk about is Marcelino and Brittany. Now, we really need this couple in this series because they are a perfect example of like a couple who have done it right and are trying very hard. Marcelino says some really great things to Brittany, like, I wrote it down because he really is a writer. You know what I'm saying? He's like, it feels good to be successful and to be successful with you. And then he apologizes to her. He's like, I know I can go pretty hard on some things and I can feel some kind of way, you know, but it's coming from a place of love. And he apologizes to her. He's laying up in the bed. She's getting ready to go to the courthouse to see Bunky's arraignment. And she's really nervous, and we're all really nervous, girl. And then we get the worst news. I mean, he goes there to support Brittany, even though he doesn't want Brittany hanging out with her felon friends. But he's like, I need to show her that I support her at the end of the day, and I do. And we've done a lot together, and we've come very far, and I want to make this work. And I just am so happy for them. I really am. I mean, as much as they fight, and as much as sometimes Marcelino can be too much, I really love that Brittany is like being an emotionally mature adult and explaining how she feels. And like, even the fact that she said, you hurt my feelings last night, that's a big step, because a lot of people won't say that to their partner. They'll just be mad at them, or they'll just continue to say cutting things. But she actually said, you hurt my feelings. And what else can someone say to that? Only a monster would be like, I don't care that I hurt your feelings. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing you got to say to your partner. You got to be vulnerable. This is, if anything that I've learned from watching other people be in a relationship, is that you got to be willing to be vulnerable with that person, especially if you want to build a life with them. So anyways, they get into the car, they're having a conversation on the way there, and Brittany's really worried. She says that she knows that a lot of times these judges have made up their own mind by the time they get into the courtroom, so there's really nothing that the person can say. And that was actually the case. The judge made it seem like Sasha was her own counsel, you know? Because your counselors tell you what way to go, which way to go with your case, or which way to argue with your case to try to get the least amount of time. And the judge knows this, but the judge still says to Sasha, you tried to convince me that you had little to nothing to do with this scenario, even though I feel like this crime could not have been committed unless you were there. Your part in this crime caused this situation to happen. And for you to try to back out and make it seem like you didn't do it and you had such little to do with it makes me think that you don't have any remorse. Therefore, I'm giving you 342 months or some shit, girl. And Brittany is crying because Brittany did some quick math in her mind and she's like, that's like 10 years, girl. I don't know how much that is. So Bunky is going to be up for parole in 2025 and she'll be 32 years old. I feel so bad for her. when you commit crimes, you gotta be prepared to handle the consequences. In the court of law, it's tricky. It really is tricky, and it depends on who your lawyer is. It depends on who the judge is and the relationship they have and the DA. It depends on all of that shit. It has nothing to do with how justice being blind. It has everything to do with conversations that happen behind doors. People died. And I acknowledge that, but I can still feel compassion for her as a human being. Okay, so the next couple that we're gonna talk about is Lamar and Andrea. So we get back to the house with Lamar and Andrea's upset because of Lamar's action the night before, and he's saying, you know, you're trying to make me a prisoner and I don't wanna feel that way. You know, I don't want you to be my new warden. And she's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep you out of trouble. So I can see her point of view, and I can definitely see his point of view, and they're in a really tricky situation because she really thinks that it's his family's fault that he's in the situations that he's ended up in. And it could very well be true, but I don't think that the solve is for his family to not be around. Now, if it were me, what I would do is say, you can't go over there, but they can come here. That is just like a give and take that you have to do. You can't tell somebody they can't be around their family 100%. But if you had like a monthly cookout where the family came over and they got to chop it up in that environment, in your safe environment, then I think that that would be worth it. So anyways, he brings her some flowers and she comments that they're gas station flowers. And I'm like, bitch, you should be grateful. Ain't nobody brought me any flowers. The only time anybody's ever gotten me any flowers, my friend Ashley sent me a bouquet of sunflowers to my job to congratulate me and excited that I was moving back to LA. That is the only time anyone has ever sent me flowers in my entire life. So I would take gas station flowers any day. Ugh. Sometimes Andrea just gets on my nerves because the bourgeois is so fake, sis. It's so fake. And he made a mistletoe and wanted to kiss her underneath it, and she called it a ghetto toe. And I was like, bitch, you've never seen mistletoe in your life. I've never seen mistletoe. So if somebody were to dangle a mistletoe over me, I would give them a kiss, especially on camera. God, she just get on my nerves so much. It's just so overdone. So they had this segment where they go through a car wash again, and I kind of sped through it because it didn't add much context to the conversation, but they didn't add much quality to the conversation, so we're just gonna move on from there. Okay, so what else happened? So the next couple that we're gonna talk about is Lizzie and Scott. So this surprise that Lizzie has, this date that she's gonna take Scott on, is a beach date. So obviously she's trying to be in a bikini and be cute and sexy for him, for the cameras. So she gets to his house, he's dressed for a regular date, and she's like, what are you wearing? As though like she called him and told him they were going to the beach. Girl, she's apparently packed a lunch and said everything is so perfect. They get into his 1984 Trans Am, and I'm not gonna front, I thought that was kind of cute. It's a nice sunny California day and they go to the beach. I almost skipped over the fact that they went back in the house for Scott to get dressed, and he came out with like something over his crotch naked, and we were just all very upset. Also, like, all of a sudden Scott is keeping his hair short and dyed. Who is making these decisions for him? Not that I'm against it. I'm just kind of like, okay, new Scott. Is this Charlene's influence? I forgot that Lizzie was a born-again virgin. I really did forget that because of how she is. But anyways, so he comes out and he has like a picture over his penis and they like blot it out. And he's like, blah, blah. She's like, go back in there. She's giggling. They get into the car and she immediately starts an argument with him about Charlene. Because I guess Charlene has been living with him for the last 6 months. And Scott's like, oh, she's been living with me because, you know, she can't afford it. And I'm like, I don't believe that at all. I believe that she's living with him so that she can help him pay his bills because he's in so much debt. You didn't tell me you were living with her, and I came all the way over here to try to make this thing work, and you're living with another woman, and she likes you, and you're probably doing this. And then Scott makes it seem like Charlene is disgusting, and he's never touched her. And I mean, first of all, Charlene is cute, okay? You're not gonna sit up here and talk about Charlene, because she's cute. And she's been your friend, and she's been down for you for a long time. For what, 14 years, I think they said? So don't talk shit about Charlene in front of Lizzie, okay? Secondly, it's like, I don't get it. she dumped him, and then she surprised him at his house, and then it's like, why didn't you tell me you were living with Charlene? First of all, he doesn't owe you any explanation. And instead of him just saying that, he's just making excuses, reasons why, and then he gets so frustrated that he starts to yell, and she's just like, okay, and then finally leaves him alone. I'm just like, girl, Lizzie is annoying. So they get to the beach, and she's like, oh, the beach, yeah, it's such a great day, I'm so excited, me and Scott, and then we sit and make a thing right here. And then I put in beer. And it's just like so entertaining and annoying at the same time. They lay out the blanket, she gets down on it, and she's just like, so today is perfect. And what are we gonna do, Scotty Waddy? Scott, so perfect. And then he's like, I'm sorry, kid. And she's like, sorry for what? It's almost like Lizzie has her own agenda, how she's going to present herself or how she's going to start chaos and drama for the show. Lizzie is a true reality TV star. Lizzie is here for these cameras 110%, and she's going to do what she needs to do in order to stay popular because she loves the attention. So when Scott brings things down to real life and starts to say that he's sorry and he really wants to get back with her, then that's when she's like, oh, what? I'm sorry. Scott, we're playing a game for the camera, Scott. Okay, I'm not gonna actually be with you. But be honest with me, Scott. I did all this for us. I'm so great, you know, like you should want to be with me. I don't really want to be with you, but you should want to be with me because I'm such a good girlfriend. I'm a little jealous of Charlene, but like, it's just so annoying. But anyways, he hands her a box and all of a sudden her face drops. I'm like, bitch, what did you think? He loves you and wants to be with you and wants to marry you because that's what you guys talked about for years. And now you don't want that. He gives her that ring box and her whole face drops. I'm just like, Lizzie, you need to have a conversation with Scott and let him know what you're doing so that he can play along with you or he can get out and you can do this shenanigans with someone else. All right, you guys, so that is the end of this episode. Please let me know what you guys thought. It was good, short, and sweet. Oh my God, this season looks like it's gonna be so good, girl. Looks like Tito and Marcelino get into a fight and I am here for it. All right, let's have a kiki and a conversation down in the comment section. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Check out my merch down below. And remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.